Well, for more on the establishment of the SIU, the challenges and successes it's had over the years, we're joined by one of its former heads, Willie Hofmeyer. He joins us. Now, Willie, good afternoon to you, and thanks very much indeed for your time. What makes the SIU different to all the other bodies we have when it comes to fighting corruption?
I think it is different because its powers and ways of functioning is a bit different from law enforcement. So essentially it is able to tackle corruption and maladministration through civil litigation rather than the NPA and the Hawks, for example, where you do criminal litigation. So that's probably the most key difference. But I think the other difference is that in terms of anti-corruption capacity, I think the Special Investigating Unit probably has more capacity than any of the other bodies in the state. And I think for that reason, I really think that they should be given proper law enforcement powers as well, if we are going to deal with corruption effectively in the next few years. We really need the skills that there are in the SIU, the capabilities that they have, and for them to be given broader powers than what they have at the moment.
And so at the moment, I mean, their investigations go to the Hawks, and there was a time, I remember, when the police just didn't act on any of their investigations and findings for a long, long time. You're suggesting that kind of situation shouldn't be allowed to happen again?
Yeah, the ruling party has actually taken a resolution that an anti-corruption commission should be set up, or a body focused on corruption. And I think that's a very good move. I think the problem with law enforcement generally, whether it's the NPA or the police, is that they've got all sorts of terrible crimes to deal with that the public are very concerned about and want to see action. So I think very often dealing with corruption takes a sort of second, what do they call it, the hind speed.
The backseat.
But they come off second when it comes to actually having the budgets, the capacity to deal with corruption more effectively. And I think given that there has been this decision that we should set up an anti-corruption commission in South Africa, which I think is the right thing to do, I think that the SIU is really, for me, the body that around which such a commission can be built. And I think if we can do that, I think we can get a very, very good anti-corruption capability set up pretty fast to deal with the crisis that we are dealing with at the moment.
There seem to have been times when the SIU's been very active. I think we're in one of those times now. And there have been times when maybe it hasn't been that active. I mean, I remember the then President Jacob Zuma left the SIU without a head for, I think, 18 months, close to 2 years. I've often wondered if that was deliberate. Frankly, I think it was.
Yeah, I think with hindsight, I can agree with you on that one.
So how do we make sure it always remains active no matter what happens?
Well, as I said, I think my suggestion is that we should really, we've got a huge anti-corruption resource there, and it is not being fully utilized. And for me, the suggestion that there has been from the ruling party that we should set up an anti-corruption agency is a very good suggestion, and I think the SIU is really well placed to provide the resources, the capacity, the systems, everything that is needed to set up such a body. And, but I do think it should be a body that has proper law enforcement powers and not just the civil litigation powers that the SIU has at the moment.
Willie Hofmeyer, thanks very much indeed, former head of the Special Investigating Unit, also, as it happens, a former head of the Assets Forfeiture Unit.